and so many of us within the elected community to honor someone who has given so much of herself, to our community. Roselyn is someone who needs no introduction. She's someone who dedicated her whole entire life to making sure that her community would be recognized on a local level, on the state level, and nationally, and be able to get the resources that we needed, to provide for our backyard. She's someone who would take me when I was first elected to the city council and say, Joe, this is what we need to have happen within our backyard. And she stood on top of me to make sure that we can get what we needed. She was there when Louis Sepulveda was running to be in the state assembly. She was there for Robert Johnson when he was running to be in the district attorney's office. And for Mariana Caminarroyo, who I'll introduce, she's going to be absorbing a good chunk of this area within her district in this upcoming election cycle. And I wanted to, be here today to recognize her life, because it's sad that we can only recognize someone and their accomplishments when they're no longer with us. But we want to make sure that the good work that she has done throughout her years do not go in vain. And we want to send a message that when a young child walks up and down this block and they look up at the sign and they say, Mom, Dad, who was Roselyn Johnson? A story will be told about a great woman who was a great leader for our community. And she was a role model that will continue to inspire so many of us and hopefully motivate us, to change our backyard for the better. Recently, we just had the shooting of a 3-year-old over here, not too far, a couple of blocks down. Those are things that we need to stop. Those are the things that Roselyn Johnson fought to stop within our backyard. And we cannot have it that type of situation takes place within our community. And that's why honoring Roselyn, that's why all of us being here together on this day, it sends a profound message that the people who count, the leaders in our community, will be honored and remembered. So we all came together. Barbara was like Roselyn's extended family, and she was like, Joe, when can we get this done? Joe, let's get this done. Joe, let's get this done. We must have gotten like about 1 million phone calls. They said, Barbara, we're working on it. The council takes time. Unfortunately, how government is, it's very slow. But we made sure we did not get deterred from our goal, and we made sure Roselyn Johnson Way came into effect. So with that being said, I want to introduce Barbara to say
Thank you. I just want to say, Roselyn was an inspiring mentor. She was an inspiring mentor. She did so much for me. That's why I wanted to have this up here for her. Because Roselyn used to tell me, Barbara, no, you can't do this. It goes this way. And that's her way of doing things. That was her way of doing things. That was her way of doing things. And I just want to know.
Mama, hold on, Mama. Make sure the mic is on, Mama.
Okay?
Yeah, there you go, baby girl. There you go,
I just want to let you know.
Let's go.
I appreciate everything Roz have done for this community.
Yes.
And she was always out here, even when she was sick, she was out here doing for this community.
Amen.
And I just wanted to make sure that the way Roz did her way, that's why it's Roselyn Johnson's way.
Whose way?
Roselyn Johnson.
And next we're going to have Carlin Holland Williams say a few words. A family member of Roselyn Johnson. Her sister.
I have a big mouth, so I'm sure you all can hear me.
Not with the truck.
Not with the truck. My name is Paula, and I'm Roselyn's baby sister. Just on behalf of myself and my family, we want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts. I don't want to get emotional, but we want to thank.
Stop it.
We want to thank Joelle, Louie, Janet, Barbara. I have people on my list. I can't read because I can't see. We just want to thank everyone. And we want to thank the community. And I'm going to read the rest of the names as soon as my eyes clear up. But we want to thank all of you for taking care of her.
We love her.
We love you, Paula.
For loving her. When we moved to North Carolina, we felt like she should come with us. And she said, no, the Bronx is my home, which it was our home too, but we kind of we were deserters. She said, I'm never leaving my community, I'm never leaving the people that I love. So we entrusted her to all of you guys, and to the end, you took care of her. So we are so appreciative of this, of everything that you've done for her, watching her go in the building, coming out to her rallies, helping her get parts and all of these things. We really do appreciate all the support that you guys, everybody has given to my sister. And I know if she were here today, she would just be saying, I love you, I love you, I love you. And I love you guys too. I do. And now I'm going to say the names. I have to read the names that I wrote down. Oh my God. All right. Maybe you can say it. Yes, please. Start from right there. Joelle.
Okay. Honorable Councilman Joe Rivera and his staff. Albert Alvarez, his chief of staff, and Janet Sanchez. Wendy Rodriguez, Chair of Community Board 6. Give it a mic. Evie Ivy Florida, District Manager of Community Planning Board 6. And all of the community board members who approved the request for the street co-naming. And special state committee thanks to Barbara Brown. Assemblyman Louis Sepulveda, that's how I say it. I know I'm saying it for everything you've done. Rosemary, our sister, thank you. Words cannot express how much we love and appreciate you.
That's it. The rest is chicken scratch in the coffee. But we do. We love all of you, and we thank you. The times we came up from North Carolina when she was in the hospital, seeing people come in and out, and to see how many visitors she had. It just, when I would go home back to Charlotte, I just sit there and cry because I knew all of you loved her, and I knew she was okay. So again, thank you. Thank you.
We can't forget any of you. Rosemary and little Kathy. Forever indebted. Go with her to the end. Thank you.
Now we're going to hear from a number of the elected officials who will not be here today to worship someone like Roselyn Johnson, who provided so much guidance and so much knowledge and so much advice to get the attention needed for the community. So first, I want to introduce our local assembly member, Louis Sepulveda.
This was something really special to me. You know, I live a block away from here, and every day I saw Roselyn, who was like a mother to me, who taught me about, you know, when I said I wanted to run for the assembly in this area, she said, well, these are the things that you have to do. Barbara, you were there with me. And she said, if you don't get them done, I'm going to come here and I'm going to give you a good whipping if you don't get them done. You know, interestingly enough, a couple days ago, I was at the local library here on West Farms. And my wife and I are trying to do a reading program for the kids in the area. And the women in the library said, you know, it hasn't been the same since Roselyn passed away. Yeah. So imagine that. You know, Roselyn was a person that right now, if she was alive, would say, don't do this for me. I don't want all this attention. Yeah. What she did from the kindness of her heart. And there's so many of us, so many elected officials in the Bronx who owe a debt of gratitude for Roselyn Johnson. She was a true leader. She was a true community-hearted person who didn't want attention, who didn't want the glory. She just wanted to make the area where she lived the best place in the world for the kids and the residents who live in this area. And so I have so much debt of gratitude to Roselyn. I'm trying to hold back the emotion because, you know, I was with her when she passed away. I was at the hospital and we saw her, and she kept trying to fight to stay alive and stay alive. And seeing what happened, and seeing today, and see so many people here who acknowledge what she did, so many leaders who acknowledge what she did, that it breaks my heart to have to do it in this way, to acknowledge her in this way, because we should have acknowledged her work when she was alive to here to see it. So, but we're proud of the family. We owe so much to the family. We owe so much to Roselyn. And if there is a case for heaven, if there is a case for someone to waltz through that wall, it's Roselyn Johnson.
That's right.
And we know she's looking down on us today.
Yeah.
And she's probably upset at me and Barbara and Joelle, saying, why are you guys doing this? But Roselyn, you deserve this and much more. So God bless you. God bless all of you to be here and acknowledge the great work that she's done for this community. And let's continue in her memory to serve this community and make it the best place in the world to live. Despite what's going on, it's up to us to make it better. Thank you all, and God bless.
Thank you, Louis. Now we also have our district attorney in the Bronx, Robert Johnson, someone who has fought to keep our city, our borough safe for so many years, and someone who personally knows Roselyn Johnson for so long as well. Our district attorney.
Thank you, thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I want to thank all the elected officials. I want to thank the family, and I certainly want to thank the community because all of you represent various components of Roselyn's life. I think you realize that all of us have separate lives, we all have busy lives, but if you stop and take a moment and think, it's so appropriate for all of us to take time out to be here right now to recognize Roselyn Johnson. Stop and think about all the weekends, all the nights, all the days that she spent trying to put her sweat and blood into making the community better, having elected officials who were responsible in office, and all the things that she did, including another component of her life, her day job.
Yep.
I mean, you know, she had family, she had community, she had politics, she also had a job. And I know Justice McKeon was unable to make it, but Roselyn was part of the heart and soul of the court system also. I didn't personally work with her because she was on the civil side, but my wife, Justice Diane Renwick, is one of those who benefited from seeing Roselyn smile there in the halls of the courtroom on a daily basis. I know from my own personal life, because my father was a court clerk, what the contributions are of those who are behind the scenes. Roselyn loved being behind the scenes, but I know the contributions that those behind the scenes make. She did that in that life. She certainly did it in political life. She's not an elected official. She was not. But as you heard, so many of us here are standing here because of the labor she put in, because of the advice that she gave. She gave me one of the greatest shocks of my life. Was one day she walked up to me and asked me, why was I upset with her? And I was in total state of shock. Because I asked myself, how could anybody be upset with Roselyn?
Thank you.
She's giving and we're taking.
Right.
How could I be upset with that? And somehow she got this misunderstanding. It was a great shock that I'll never forget. But I set her straight. Roselyn, you were in my corner, I'm forever in your corner. And that's why I wanted to take the time to be here today to say thank you. That's the important thing. She's not here to hear it, but she's looking down on us. And we have a great deal of gratitude, all of us, for her labor. Thank you all.
The next person I'm going to introduce is my colleague in the City Council, someone who stood by my side as we were passing this historic day of renaming for Roselyn Johnson. Maria de Carmen Arroyo is someone who's going to be absorbing a good chunk of this area within her council district, and she knows how hard we fought to get this street renamed, and she understood why it was important that we honor Roselyn Johnson. And when it came down to the vote, she made sure that we were able to pass the legislation to make this historic day happen. So I want to thank my colleague Maria de Carmen Arroyo, and I want to welcome her into the community, and I want to give her a few words to share her experiences with Roselyn Johnson.
Thank you, Joel. Unfortunately, I personally,
The
thing is not working. That's right. I guess I have to stand real still. I unfortunately did not have the privilege and the honor of knowing Roselyn, but I've been walking around in this community with some new friends that I have made over the last few months, who have introduced me to individuals who know her, knew of her work. And I have to tell you, as a city council member representing the 17th district now for 8 years, the battle in our communities are not fought by us in elected office. They're fought by our soldiers on the street. People like Roselyn, who day in and day out give up themselves, unselfishly, not expecting anything in return, And I know that we have a whole bunch of you guys in this group right now, that without their work, without her work, without that energy, our city would not be as great as it is. To the family, I say thank you for sharing her with our community, for believing that we could take care of her. And I hope that you were not disappointed with how the community took care of her, because she was loved, respected, and in many cases feared. And I think she preferred. I think she preferred the respect part more, but she had no problem with if you had to fear her, she would make sure that you understood and you were clear she was not playing. Thank you for sharing her, for her work, for her experience and her contribution in this community. We are a better community. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Maria. The next person that's going to speak is someone who, when I first decided to run for the city council, said, my son, there's a couple of people you have to meet. And Roselyn Johnson was one of those people. He took me to her so she can lecture me on what it means to be in elected office and give me the guidance that I needed. It's my father, State Assemblyman Jose Rivera.
Good afternoon. God is good, right?
All the time.
It was roughly a year ago that we said, temporarily, see you later, Roselyn Johnson. Here we are a year later, facing one of the many battles that Roselyn contributed to, and that was helping to elect good people into government. Why do I say that? Because next Tuesday, you can remember Roselyn Johnson as you mobilize across this area. And remember Election Day. Remember this young lady, Maria Carmen Arroyo, who today is sharing this part of the district. Remember Albert Alvarez, Chief of Staff for 12 years for my son, Joel Rivera. You quite often hear it takes a village to raise a child. I thank Roselyn because she helped me raise this young man.
Yes.
I thank Roselyn because in those difficult days when Jimmy Carter came to the Bronx in 1977, those of you who were youngsters and remember what the Bronx looked like, I know I recall a young lawyer running up and down the borough of the Bronx, a public defender of our people in our community. Today, I am proud to say that he is our district attorney, Robert Johnson. That is good. Listen, we need to tell this story. We need to tell the story that it took some 3 years of Jimmy Carter's commitment to the Bronx. It took 3 years. We were restless. We could not wait anymore. Roselyn Johnson with Wendy Rodriguez, Avin Galarza, Barbara, and others helped us put together the People's Convention to welcome the Democratic to the Bronx. Rather, to embarrass government because we cannot stand by and allow for this borough of ours to continue to be burnt down. Arson is for profit. Nobody investigated, nobody indicted, but we lost a population of 150,000 people near the area, the South Bronx to Boston Road, and this area. The Bronx that you have today, you can give a lot of credit, and it's very well deserved, to Roselyn Johnson. You can give a lot of credit to others who are no longer with us. Astin Jacobo, a great Dominican leader who was involved here with our youth. You can give a lot of credit, and we were honored when we identified the resources and we built a center for our youth called Mary Mitchell These are dynamic women who paved the way to what the borough of the Bronx look today. So I am glad when I hear that Roselyn decided not to go back home, but stay here at home with us in the Bronx. She did not move, she stayed to improve our neighborhood. I am glad that today's leaders, like Kenny Agosto, who was raised in this area, I am glad that even though Joel Rivera is retiring at a very early young age, that Albert Albert will be here to continue the fight.
That's right.
I can continue and tell the story. Let's talk about Wendy Rodriguez and Roselyn Johnson. When St. Barnabas Hospital was bankrupt, it was going to be closed down. It was these two ladies, amongst others, who put a struggle together, committee together. And St. Barnabas Hospital today is open and is providing hundreds, if not thousands of jobs to our people in our community. Long live Roselyn Johnson.
Yes.
Let's keep Roselyn Johnson memory alive. Not only by the sign that's going to be going up, but by continue to stay in the struggle, because it is never ending.
That's right.
The struggle for social and economic justice has no ending. You used to have to pick up the struggle. I thank you, Roselyn Johnson. I thank the family for this wonderful day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You can tell we're in church today because there's a lot of testimony that has to be given to the life of Roselyn Johnson. Next we have our good friend in the Community Board 6 community. We have Wendy Rodriguez, who's the chairperson of Community Board 6. And we also have a number of the Community Board members here with us today, so if they can come up to stand with us. My mother, who's the district manager of Community Board 6, unfortunately cannot be here today. Her sister is celebrating her 50th wedding anniversary, so they're out of town. But we want to make sure that the Community Board, who is the first step for street renamings, will have the opportunity to say a few words. Wendy?
Thank you very much. So, I'd like the board members that are here to please step up. Claudette, Sarah. Where are they? Claudette, Sarah. I know they were here. Perquita. Perquita, get over here, please. Perquita. And Sarah. And Claudette. Claudette. She's over there. Okay. Thank you very much. Like Joel said, I'm Wendy Rodriguez. I am the chair of Community Board number 6. I have lived here for many, many years, and when the Bronx was burning, I decided to stay here. Why? Because I wanted to help my community. I wanted to help my neighbors. I did not want to run away and leave them stranded here. No, I wanted to stay here like Roselyn did and fight for my community. It was a pleasure and an honor to know Roselyn as a board member, because she used to be on the board. She was chair of the board before I was chair of the board, and she did a fantastic job, and I learned a lot from her, because I was a board member and she was the board chair. And I did learn a lot from her, and it was a pleasure and an honor. She did a lot for the community, and I do thank the family for letting us have Roselyn. Instead of her being with you, she was here with us helping this community, and she did a fantastic job as a board member, as a member of Community Board 12, and as a member of the community at large. So may God bless you all and bless the family, and we will always take care of the memory of Roselyn. We will always love her and remember her. And thank you very much. And God bless you all, and have a wonderful day.
Praise the Lord, everyone. My name is Perquita Williams. I'm a resident of this community. for over 40 years. And when I met Miss Johnson, it was through my job, and Rosemary and other people in the community, Miss Nessie, and she was always a person looking out for the little person, the person that you didn't necessarily know their name or where they lived at. But if they had a need and she got the chance to be next to you and she said who she was, she didn't come with no titles or anything like that. She just said, "Hi, how you doing? And did you find out about the jobs that they're giving out or the food that they have over there? And how's your grandparents? And they have a seniors program here, or they opening up a new daycare center over there. Did you hear about that?" So Roz came without no titles. She came without any agenda other than just to be the angel who God placed in our lives. And I just feel so fortunate to have known her, because we pass people every day. We don't ask their name. We don't find out like what is it? And it's not going to cost us anything to be neighborly or to befriend someone or share information. And this is one thing that we need to carry on that Roz did with each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Paquita.
Thank you very much. Next, we're going to hear from someone who has lived in the community for 45 years, someone who's worked in the community for 25 years, someone who has been my backbone in office for the past 12 years, my chief of staff. Albert Alvarez is someone who is no stranger to many of us. I am term limited from the city council, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to turn my back on what's going to happen next within the community. So I'm extremely supportive of my chief of staff to replace me in the city council, because I know that the best thing for the 15th council district, what Roselyn Johnson would have wanted, is someone who comes from our neighborhood, someone who has been through the same struggles and tribulations that we have all been through, and someone who will continue to do the work for our community. And that's why on Tuesday in the Democratic primary, we're supporting my chief of staff to be my replacement in the New York City Council, and that is my friend Albert Alvarez. Roselyn. Thank you, Joel, and thank you all for being here. See, I grew up on Honeywell Avenue behind CS 67. That's my home. I still live here, right down the block by Wings Academy, so I've never left. I understand what we go through every day, and I'm grateful to the family, Roselyn's family, to June, to her son Dorian, for sharing her. See, when Roselyn was in the hospital, my mother was also in the hospital. I would go visit my mother, and then I would go visit Roselyn. They were in the same hospital. And she wouldn't want to talk about how she felt or anything else. She just wanted to know how my mother was doing. And that's Roselyn's way. So I'm very grateful to have shared a portion, a small part of her life. She taught me well. She used to come in and say, "We need some citations, this person's doing that." I said, "Roselyn, whatever you say, whatever you want, you get. Because I know what you do is for our people, for our community, and I want to do the same in the future." Well, I'm very grateful again to be here, but when we talk about stories, let's talk about a story that doesn't get told, but I'm going to tell it, even if Joel gets mad at me. You see, this street name wasn't easy. When we put the legislation in, it was denied by central staff. We put it in again, it was denied again. But it took the leadership that we have here today to say